Hi, and welcome back to Beans and Bezels. Visitor is an American Microbrand that I've come across a few times, but never really got into them because the designs are a bit too out there for my conservative taste buds. But when Neil asked if I'd like to check out his Visitor Linden, I couldn't refuse, and I'm glad I didn't, so thanks again, Neil. Usually, when I read a brand's About Us section, it usually is 90% marketing fluff that has little to no connection with how the end product actually feels. Even homage watch brands often boast about their unique designs and far fetched inspirations. But when I read the driving motivation behind Visitor, which was, and I quote, "We pride ourselves in original design down to the buckle tang and sketch to steel development with minimal compromise," I completely agreed. Unlike most microbrands in the $500 range, it appears to me that every component apart from the movement has been custom made for this watch, and I genuinely believe that this watch went from sketch to steel and not catalogs to steel. Let's check it out. I measured the case to be 41.25 millimeters in diameter, measured from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 48.5 millimeters from lug to lug, and 10.5 millimeters in height. The case is made entirely of stainless steel and makes use of multiple polished and brushed surfaces, on a case design that is very interesting and out of the ordinary. The mid case has an almost pillowcase style design which extends outward into a pair of slender lugs that angle down towards the wrist. The lugs are drilled through and have a lug width of 20 millimeters. There is a substantial fixed bezel section to the case that is slightly recessed into the mid case and is entirely polished. The bezel seats a flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on the bottom surface. You then have a 7mm signed push-pull crown at the 3 o'clock position that is very narrow but easy to grip and operate. The crown operating experience is decent and feels exactly how you'd expect a Miyota 9 series to feel. Flipping it over, you have an exhibition case back that is flat and short, sitting in line with the lugs. This watch is unlike anything I've ever seen before and feels like an art piece more than it does a watch. And to be able to deliver an experience like this for around $500 is quite commendable, especially since this category is mostly filled with uninspired designs and catalog components. The dial is incredible with the mirror finish black base layer that looks indistinguishable from a ceramic dial, with excellent finishing and quality control. Not easily visible are the 4 crosshair style engraved lines on the dial, which only appear at certain angles. There are recessed circular minute markers that are also generously filled with lume and also appear to be slightly countersunk, which is an awesome design choice on its own. You then have applied indices for the hour markers using circular indices for the 4 main axes and teardrop shaped indices for the rest. Once again, excellent finishing and quality control, and they're all generously filled with lume. There is a date window at the 3 o'clock position, which is neatly hidden by means of an unframed date window and a color matched date wheel background. I typically don't like 3 o'clock date windows, but it works here and I'll make an exception for this watch. The brand's name is printed above the date window, and the best part of this whole design is that the brand name and date wheel are loomed. The calligraphy inspired dial gets its identity primarily by means of the handset on this watch. Both the hour and minute hands appear to be designed to resemble pen nibs, and they look amazing. The proportions are bold, but they're also very easy to read. The finishing is excellent, and the tips of both nibs are also loomed. You might think the seconds hand would be spared from this over-designed aesthetic, but no, it has a very interesting counterbalance to tie into the rest of the dial design. This watch and brand have instantly earned my respect. I'm becoming more and more familiar with the process of developing and putting a watch like this into manufacturing, so seeing one with so many intricate details and custom-made parts selling for this price is just very impressive. While you may or may not like the aesthetic, it shouldn't stop you from being able to respect the design process and the keen eye for detail here. All the dial elements are loomed, and I really mean all of them. Even the outer recessed minute markers are generously filled with lume, and the logo and date wheel are loomed too, so brilliant stuff here. Given the large size of the hour and minute hand tips, they glow very bright and hold their charge well. Similarly with the indices, so no complaints from me here at all. This watch uses a Miyota 9015 movement, which isn't a bad choice for a watch in the $500 to $600 category. This movement is on full display thanks to the exhibition window, and Visitor have tried to add a bit of excitement to an otherwise boring movement with a custom engraved rotor. Personally, I feel that the exhibition case back does this watch a disservice by exposing such a boring and characterless movement on a watch that is otherwise extremely extravagant and just oozing personality. I don't have any problems with the movement, but this watch would have benefited from having a closed case back with some interesting engravings or embossings like on their other watches. On my time grapher, this watch was running at around plus 8.5 seconds per day in the dial up position and plus 2.5 seconds per day in the crown up position. The case feels less circular and more rectangular on the wrist, so the 39mm diameter that they state is across the shortest points on the case, and it wears closer to a 41mm watch. That said, it feels great on my 6 and a quarter inch wrist because of the 48.5mm lug to lug width. The flat case back, angled down lugs, and overall 10.5mm height make this an even more comfortable wrist experience. Overall, I love the way it wears, but if you have a smaller wrist like mine but want a dress watch aesthetic, this might be too large. But if you're okay with the more substantial wrist presence, you'll be fine. I can wrap this one up quickly and easily. This is an amazing watch. It's very unique and very creative. It is over-designed, but in the best way possible. The finishing is great, and the quality control and attention to detail make it an incredibly easy watch to recommend. Once again, thanks for watching, and don't forget to read my other reviews in the link below.